We welcome in Saba and Reb Kramer, Aaron Swade, Irving Fishbaum, Mordechai Sultan, A.B. Spry, Eddie Chazan, Menachem Umansky, Ben Zion Cohn, Mel Zachter, Richard Rosenzweig, Dr. Guy, Moshe Lehman, Ilya Shutman, Abe Arbach, the Lowy family. We have here in the shul Reb Sadov and Reb Baruch Geshemin holding down the fort here as we are just starting on this Motzai Shabbos. We are holding on Daf Chav Gimel Amud Beis on the bottom. Daf Chav Gimel Amud Beis on the bottom by Tanya Kavasei Dabaya. 6 lines from the bottom, 6 lines from the bottom, as we learn with the tefillah that all children that want to get into yeshiva should get into yeshiva quickly and easily without any heartache for the parents, and accepted with love. We are starting in the middle of a sugya. We said that Abaya is of the opinion that which we said that we trust, even one of the women that are normally not believed to say Meis Baili, that are not believed to say that a man died, and that's like a mother-in-law, a stepdaughter, a sister-in-law, a co-wife. They are believed to bring a get as long as they say b'fanei nichtav or b'fanei nechtam. That was the opinion of Abaya. So now, as we welcome in Michael and Chaim Braun, the Gemara says Tanya Kavasei Abaya. We have a raya like Abaya. Again, 6 lines from the bottom of Chav Gimel Amud Beis. Reb Shimon Elazar Aimer Mishim Rabbi Kiva Isha Nemenes Lahavi Gita Mikal V'Chaymer. A woman is believed to bring her get utilizing a Kal V'Chaymer. Ma Noshim Shomer Chachamei Nemenes Lahavi Beis Baila. Madach, the women that are not believed to say that somebody's husband died. Nemenes Lahavi Gita are believed to bring her get. He Shenemenes Lahavi Beis Baila. She's believed to say her husband died in order that she should get remarried and she shouldn't be an aguna. However, it's only from the law of where we derive it from. Just like by the chamoisa, the co-wife, or the sister-in-law, they have to say so we see, like Abaya's opinion, that the place where the chamoisa is believed is where she comes to say where she comes from Medina Sayyam, and she says b'fanei nechtam. The Mishnah is also mashma that way. Diktani, because it says so Isha Atzma Mevia Gita, a woman herself can bring her get. So since it says that right after the case of Chamoisai and Tzara, it applies that that's also talking about where you say B'fanei Nechtav Shmamina. Now Rav Yosef, who argues in Abaya and says that the only time we believe the Chamoisai and the Tzara is Adarabah, when they bring the get in Eretz Yisrael, where they don't have to be believed to say B'fanei Nechtam, so then it's strange. Reisha v'Seifa b'chutz la'aretz. The Reisha and the Seifa of the Mishnah are both talking about B'fanei Nechtam mitziyasa ba'aretz, and the middle case of Chamoisai and the Tzara is only talking about where you don't have to say in Eretz Yisrael. So the Gemara says, yeah, Rabbi Yosef holds that way. In Reisha v'Seifa b'chutz la'aretz mitziyasa ba'aretz. Now, what prompts Rabbi Yosef to say that? Mimai midikitani ma ben get lemisa. What's the difference that a tzara, a chamoisai, a stepdaughter, is believed by a get, but she's not believed to say that the husband died? Shaksav moichiach, but it only says haksav moichiach. It doesn't say the ksav and the amira is moichiach. So you see that I don't have to say b'fanei nechta. It's talking about a case in Eretz Yisrael. V'loy ketani shaksav upeh moichiach. Okay, just getting underway over here on a beautiful Motzei Shabbos, now starting a new sugya as we are Welcome in Harrison Kletzel, and we are 10 lines from the top of Chav Daled Amud Aleph, just getting underway and welcoming in. I believe this is Shimon Deer that we're now welcoming in. Yes, Shimon Deer is here. Shimon Deer is here. And we are holding Shimon. We're going to start from the 2 dots in your honor. 10 lines from the top of Chav Daled Amud Aleph. 10 lines from the top of Chav Daled Amud Aleph. As we have so far this early Motzei Shabbos 21 Zoomers joining us. Ha'isha atzma mevia es gita. The woman herself could bring her get. So the Gemara says, I don't understand. It says that the woman could bring her get as long as when she comes, she says, b'fani nichta, b'fani nechta. But why is that necessary? If the husband gave the wife a get in Asia, she should be divorced in Asia. Why does she have to bring it to court in Eretz Yisrael and say if the husband himself gave it to her, it should be divorced wherever he gave it to her? So says the Gemara, you know what it's talking about. You should only be divorced when you arrive in the Bezdin in Yerushalayim. So the Gemara says, oh, so that's a t'nai in the get. But when she arrives in the Bezdin in Yerushalayim, she should be divorced from when the husband gave it to her. She's divorced. And why does she have to say b'fani nechta, b'fani nechta? The plot thickens. Says Rav Huna bar Menachem in the name of Rav Achabrei Rav Ika, to Amala Kimotis Hasam, when you reach Yerushalayim, Isnechei Ha'ara, put it down on the ground, and then V'shokle, and then take it, and only then be divorced. Says Gemara, that's not a good get. Now you're getting into very sticky territory. If she puts it down on the ground and then takes it from the ground, she's not getting it from the husband. That's not a good get. That's a case where the husband tells her to take the get from the ground. Take the get from the ground. That's nothing. It has to come from the husband to the wife, or the shliach of the husband to the wife. To take it from the ground, that's no good. Ella. So now the Gemara tries. The Gemara is wiggling around over here. The Gemara is trying all kinds of heichatimtzes. Ella de Amala, let's get the case. Chatzkel is the husband, and the wife is Rachala. Ella de Amala have shliach lohilacha. Rachel, be a shliach to bring it ad to matis hasam, until you reach the court in Yerushalayim. The chi matis hasam, and then when you reach there, have a shliach lekabala, then be a shliach to accept it from yourself. The kiblei es gitech. So then it's direct. The shliach, she was a shliach of the husband, and as a shliach of the husband, she gives it to herself. Now she's a shliach l'kabbalah. Says the Gemara, but that's no good. Because a shliach has to have the wherewithal, the time, to bring back word to the principle that she performed her shlichus. Here she can't bring her mission back because she has to terminate her shlichus leilacha immediately and become a shliach leilacha, lekabbalah. So she doesn't have the option to go back and say that the job was done. So the Gemara tweaks it. Be a shliach to bring it until you get to Eretz Yisrael, to Yerushalayim. V'chi matis hasam, and when you get there, shavi shliach lekabal. You appoint Chaim to accept it on your behalf. So in the meantime, you remain only a shlich leilacha, so you could bring the news back that you did the job, and you appoint Chaim to be the shlich lekabala to accept it for you. But that's a shaila. If a woman is allowed to appoint a shliach lekabbalah to accept it from her husband's shliach leilacha, That's good according to the opinion that a woman could make a shliach to accept it from the shliach of her husband. That a woman is not allowed to do that. So the Gemara says, well, why aren't you allowed to do that? Because it's a bizayin to the husband. But here the husband is suggesting to do it. So the Gemara says, yeah, but that's not the only opinion of why a woman shouldn't appoint a shliach to accept it from her husband's shliach halacha. If it's because of the embarrassment of the husband. Okay, so then you could say over here there's no embarrassment to the husband because the husband himself is saying to do this. If you remember, oh wow, look, I didn't even ask you. Terem Ekra V'ata Ena. Thank you very much. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvarav. So, remember I told you there's a case. It's a nasty kind of case. If the husband, let's say Chatzkel, puts a get in Aaron's courtyard, and then Aaron sells the courtyard to Chatzkel's wife, or gives it to Chatzkel's wife as matana, that's not a good get. Because it didn't come from the husband straight to the wife. That's called Chatzeira Habola La'achar Mikan. Now the case where she appoints a shliach lekabbalah after the husband appoints a shliach lehilacha can look like Chatzeira Habola La'achar Mikan. It really isn't. Really, it is good because the shliach lehilacha is the husband, and if she appoints a shliach lekabbalah, it's her. So then it's directly one to the other. But it looks like a Chatzeira Habola La'achar Mikan. As the Gemara says, it's a Gezeira because of the case of Chatzeira Habola La'achar Mikan, because here she's just like in this case where the husband puts the get in the courtyard and then he gives the courtyard to Aaron, and Aaron sells it to her or gives it as a gift to her. It's something that comes to her afterwards and it's not coming directly from the husband to the wife. This case of where he appoints a shliach lehilacha and then afterwards she appoints a shliach lekabbalah to accept it from the shliach lehilacha looks a little bit like Chatzeira Habola La'achar Mikan, and therefore that wouldn't be a good heicha timsa. The Amala says to Gemara, the case is, as we welcome in Mo Kushner, joining us on this beautiful Motzei Shabbos, and Mo, we are on Chav Daled and Aleph, and right before the end of the Perek, we are 7 lines from before the end of the Perek. The Amala have a shliach lehilacha ad matis hasam. You should be a shliach till you get to Yerushalayim. So Chatzkel tells Rachala, you be a shliach until you get to Yerushalayim. V'chi matis hasam, shavi shliach lehilacha. You appoint another shliach lehilacha. You appoint Dr. Black as a further shliach lehilacha. So now you could be chayzer to report your shlichus, and you appoint another shliach lehilacha, and then from Dr. Black you accept your get, so it doesn't look like a Chatzeira Habola La'achar Mikan. V'kiblei esgiteich minei. That's one answer. V'yiba is saying it's the same idea. The Amala, he tells her, Avi shliach lehilacha ad matis hasam. Be a shliach until you get to the Beis Din Yerushalayim. V'chi matis hasam amar kamei beidina b'fanei nichtav b'fanei nechtam. Say in front of Beis Din b'fanei nichtav or b'fanei nechtam, and then umashvei beidina shliach, and then the Beis Din will appoint a further shliach of halacha, and they will give it to you. Handru lach hamevi get, handru lach hamevi get, handru lach hamevi get. Okay, as we're ready to start, believe it or not, we just started this Masechta and we're ready in the third parak of Gittin, Rabbi Yisai. Nice job, everybody. Reb Seidov, is this your first time at the shir?
This year,
So we have a newcomer here, newcomer in the shul, a newcomer to the shir, a royal welcome. Every time we get a newcomer, we are tremendously uplifted. 24 Zoomers strong and waiting, a lot of people. We have Bruce Eisenberger with us for Shabbos, and he might be tuning in on his way back. He would have stayed for the shir, but he has office hours tomorrow morning. This might be him, as a matter of fact. And Shelley Zeitlin is coming on. Okay, as we welcome in Shelley Zeitlin. Okay, now, we know that a get has to be written lishma. This Mishnah will discuss many cases of Gittin that are not written lishma in ascending order. Every case is a little bit better than the case before. Kol get shenichtav shaloi l'shem isha l'shem isha, any get that's not written for the sake of this woman, Chatzkel is divorcing Rachel, any get that's not made specifically for Rachel, pas ketzat. The first case is out. That's obvious. He's walking in the market, and he hears a Rebbe teaching, a Sefer teaching a student, Makrin, and he's teaching his Talmud that Ish Ploini Megarish is Ploinis, that Chatzkel is divorcing Rachel, Mimakam Ploini, from Shnibashak. Now, he was just doing this for practice. So it wasn't even written l'shem gerishim. Forget about for them. V'amar, but Chatzkel says he's the original cheapie. You know why he's getting divorced. So V'amar zeshmi, hey, that's my name. Zeshem ishti. That's the name of my wife. Pasal l'garish, but it's no good. That's obviously no good because it wasn't even written for divorce. It was written for practice. Yes, and McCain, even a bigger chiddush. Kos of l'garish is ishtai. If let's say one Chatzkel wrote to divorce his wife, B'nimlach, but Motza ben Irai, he found somebody in the same city, also Chatzkel and Rachel, and he was getting divorced. V'amalei, he says, look, I could save you some money. Shmi kishimcha, my name is like your name, B'shem ishti kishem ishticha, and my wife's name is like your wife's name. We're from the same city. Here, you could have it. Pasal l'garish bay. Well, that's obvious also, because it wasn't even the right husband. Right? Yes, it became. Oh, but even more than that is the following case. He was married to Chatzkel at 2 Rachelas. So, he wrote to divorce the older one, the older Rachel. And then he changed his mind and says, you know what, I'll divorce the younger one. Lo yigarish b'yesakatana. He can't divorce the younger one with it because he had in mind for the older one. So even though it was written by the same husband and it was written l'shem divorce, but it wasn't written for the right wife. And now comes the bigger chiddush. Yeser Mikain Amal Lavler. He tells the Sefer, look, 2 wives, too much for me, too much. I can't handle it. I'm not sure if I'm going to divorce the older one and the younger one. So you write Rachel, and I'll decide. Right? Sweet guy. Amal Lavler, Kosev, write it, Le'ezer she'erza agarish. And I'll pick. Pasal agarish boy. And the Gemara is going to say, because we don't say Breira, In other words, later on when he decides which Rachel, we don't say Huber Adavar Meikara retroactively. It's clarified at the time of the writing that it was for that Rachel. We don't say retroactive clarification. So now the Gemara goes through all the steps clearly for us as we welcome in Abba Steinhauser joining us on this beautiful Matzoi Shabbos. Now we're up to 27 Zoomers.
What's the lesson of yes meking?
Each one means it's an ascending chiddush, a bigger chiddush. Because the first one you didn't even have l'shem gerushin; it was only for practice. Then it was l'shem gerushin, but it wasn't for this husband. Then it was for this husband, it wasn't for the wife. And in the last case, he had in mind it might be for the wife. So each one is a bigger chiddush than the one before it. Let's see now inside. The Gemara is going to enunciate all of this. I better slow down because I don't want you to feel that you're not getting your money's worth. In the second case in the Mishnah, it says he wrote to divorce his wife and he changed his mind. Now, if in the first case, what was it written for if not for somebody's divorce? In the beginning, it's dealing with scribes who teach students. And it was an example, right? Chatzkel is divorcing. Ravashi dekanami diktani seifrim makrin. That the seifrim were reading it. That means they were teaching it. Like katani seifrim karin. It doesn't say that they were reading it to themselves when they were writing it, but rather that they were teaching it. Shma mina. So as Shimon asked, my yeser mikain. What does it mean that each one is more? They're all puzzled. What do you mean each one is more? Tanei Rabbi Shmuel. Obviously not the first case where it wasn't written for divorce at all, rather for teaching purposes. Even the second case where it was a different couple that wrote it, it's still possible. But not only that case where it wasn't written for the husband at all, where it was written for the older Rachel, and now he wants to use it for the younger Rachel, that's also possible. In the case where he says, I'll make a choice, where at the time of the writing he considered that he would give it to either one, and therefore it's not. You can't say it wasn't written for one of the wives because in the beginning he said, "I'll choose which one." Still possible. So now the Gemara says, "Okay, we have the ladder of the chidushim in the Mishnah, but now let's get the reasons why all of these gittin are possible." So the Gemara says, "My time, ikos of an asan sefer krisis biyada a document of divorce." Where it was written for divorce. So then, Hava Amina Lemute Haikama, the case of the Rabbi teaching the student, the Loyavid L'Shem Krisis, because there it wasn't written for divorce, it was written for practice. Avakos of the Garisish Ishta V'Nimlach, but in the case where one person wrote.
What?
Okay, Rabbi say. The neighborhood is about to change. And here he is, the one and only. How you doing, Marshall? Right on time as usual. What time is Shabbos over by you?
About 25 minutes ago.
25 minutes ago, and you have a Kalbach Havdalah, right, and everything, with
sounds so good.
Yeah, I know, and then of course you drink a big share of Havdalah, which probably takes you like 20 minutes.
Actually, I wait for the whole Havdalah candle to burn down.
That's what that was my second guess. Okay.
There you go. Did I miss anything?
No, nothing at all. We're on Daf Chav Daled Amud Beis, and we are holding at we're going to go back a few lines for you. We're going to go to my timer. My timer is 16 lines from the top.
Wow.
Take off your shoes to count that.
I already did.
Okay, Rabbi Isai, if you don't know, this is Marshall. Everybody. Okay.
Good luck, everybody.
Yeah. Thank God you come in quietly without disturbing anybody. Says the Gemara, my timer. Again, what's the reason in the Mishnah that we say all the cases are disqualified? If it just said you should give a writ of divorce, that it just excludes the case where the Sefer wrote it to teach his Talmidim, it wasn't made for divorce. But if one couple wrote, another Chatzkel and Rachel wrote it, and then changed their mind, the Avidushim creases, where it was made for divorce, Eimer Kosher. Therefore, Kasser Rachmanovic, Kasser V'Nazan. You write it and you give it. So it has to be the one that gives it that writes it, and not a different husband. But he Kasser Rachmanovic, Kasser V'Nazan, Avamina Lemute Hai, Deloyu Kasser. That wasn't the right husband, it was written by a different husband. But we has two Rachels, so he was the one that wrote it. The Ksiv law, he did write it for Eimer Kosher. Therefore, Kasser Rachmanovic, Kasser law, it has to be written for the right woman. Lishma. Then the Sefer Lamali. What do we need the last case in the Mishnah? The last case in the Mishnah is where, as we welcome in Gedalia Engel, okay.
He had a longer Havdalah than me. He had the note.
Okay, Gedalia, you're babysitting the lox and eggs for tomorrow morning?
They can babysit themselves. I told them they can babysit themselves. I said,
well,
I said, they don't need me.
You probably think that we don't have room for you down here, but there is one seat in the corner over here available.
I saw how crowded Shoulders is. I said, I bet this year is going to be also filled to capacity.
Anyway, okay. We are holding by the two dots on Daf Chav Daled Amud Beis, about 24 lines into Chav Daled Amud Beis, as we welcome in Kenny. Who's Kenny? Kenny? Hello, Kenny. It's nice to have you. Kenny, we are on Daf Chav Daled Amud Beis at the two dots, about 24 lines from the top. Kosav Ligarish Es HaGedola, and we have 30 Zoomers strong so far this evening, as we await more arrivals for the second daf. Now, Kosav Ligarish Es HaGedola. Remember, this is a case where Chatzkel has two wives, two Rachels. If he wrote to divorce the older Rachel, Lo Yegarish B'Yasaktana, he can't use it for the younger Rachel. But the implication is he could give it to the older Rachel, even though he has two wives, both with the name Rachel, and it doesn't sound like it would be a very good identifying symbol if she pulls it out and shows that she wants to collect her ksuba, and he'll say, well, that was meant for the other Rachel. I mean, it says the Gemara, he can't divorce the younger wife because he wrote it for the older one. But the older wife he can divorce. This proves Shnei Yosef ben Shimon Hadorin Be'ir Achas, two Yosef ben Shimons that live in the same city, one of the Yosef ben Shimon's could pull out a star and make a claim on Marshall, and Marshall can't say, I owe the other one, and he dropped it and you picked it up. Because here we say that you could write a get to the older Rachel, even though you have two wives of Rachel, she could come then and collect her ksuva with it. Amalei Abai Alamiata Reisha Diktani. In the Reisha where it says Shmi Kishimcha, my name is like your name, right? That was the case where we had one Chatzkel that wrote a get for his wife Rachel, and they changed their mind. And then he said, why don't you use it? Because your name is the same. So he said that the second couple can't use it, even though it has the same name, because it wasn't written for the second couple. But the first couple can use it, even though there's two Chatzkels and Rachels in the same town of Shnipashak. Right? The second couple can't use it. But the first couple could use it. We learned that somebody else cannot produce a promissory note against them, because the person will say that it's not me that owes you the money, it's the other one in the town. So here too, why should it be able to be used? He should be able to say, it's not me, it's the other one in the town. No, it's talking about Be'edei Mesira, where the witnesses to the delivery, and therefore you can't get confused. And you can't say that it's the other Chatzkel and Rachel, because you have witnesses to the delivery that saw which one it was given to. And therefore in the Sefer also, it's talking about Achanami Be'edei Mesira, V'Rabbalazar, and therefore we cannot derive any proof to this, to the din of Shtarei Chai. Now, the Gemara tells us that even though these Gittin are puzzle, all the Gittin in the Mishnah are puzzle, but they're going to disqualify her to a Kayin. In other words, if her husband dies afterwards, she's not allowed to marry a Kayin. Because even though it wasn't a good get, but a Reach get it is. Let's see it inside. Amarav, Kulan, Paislin, Bekuhuna. All of them disqualify her to a Kayin. That means if subsequent to this puzzle to get, her husband dies, she can't marry a Kayin. Chutz min Arishin, except for the case where it was done for practice. The case where it was done for practice, since it's not written for divorce at all, that's absolutely nothing. V'shmol amar af Rishin nami puzzle. Even the first case also, since it was given to her as a get, even though it really was a mockery of a get, it's a reach get, and she's pasul l'kuna. V'az d'shmul l'tamei, d'ama shmul kol mokim sheshanu chachamim get pasul. Wherever in Masechtas Gittin it says get pasul, pasul u'pasul. It's pasul, but it pasels her to kahuna. Chalitza psula, if it says it's a chalitza, that's pasul. Psula, it is not a good chalitza. In other words, she needs another chalitza. However, it disqualifies her from doing yibam. So even though it was a chalitza psula, but it impairs the zika enough that it disqualifies her from future yibam. B'marava imrei mishmei Rabbalazar in Eretz Yisrael, since Eretz Yisrael is to the west of Bavel, it's called B'marava. B'marava imrei in Eretz Yisrael, it was said mishmei Rabbalazar, smail v'layla. Chalitza, which is done from the left foot instead of the right foot, and somebody is not muted, Mel. See how things could be ambiguous. You could think that it means done with her left hand, but that's not what it means. It means if it was done from the left foot instead of the right foot. I know a case recently well, we'll talk about that another time. From the left foot, or if it was done in the night, psulais, it is a chalitza psula, it has to be done again, but a paisless, it renders her disqualified to the brothers, she can't do yibam. Katan van pilya, but if a minor does the chalitza, or it was done with a sack instead of a shoe, psulais, it's disqualified ve'ein paislais, but it doesn't disqualify her from the brothers. Zeiri says, kulan ein paislin, all of these gittin don't disqualify her from kahuna, chutz mina achron, except for the case of breira, where he says it should be a get for the one that I decide. V'chein amar Ravasi, kulan ein paislin, all of them don't disqualify, chutz mina achron. Even the last one doesn't pass because we hold ein breira, and since there's ein breira, there's no retroactive clarification. It wasn't written lishma, and since it wasn't written lishma, it doesn't disqualify her from kuna. We're just going to pause a minute to change over the shir.